tanks, troops, flyovers, fireworks, and the spirit of freedom louder than ever. Real America's Voice is proud to bring you full coverage of this once-in-a-generation tribute to our military and our country.
Give me liberty or give me death.
Join us in wishing President Trump a happy birthday. Scan the QR code to send your personal message now. Join us this Saturday for America 250, honoring our Army and celebrating our President, here on Real America's Voice.
Happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is King.
Our souls are filled with gratitude for every generation of warriors who have worn the uniform all the way back to the very beginning.
It's latest now in the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran. The countries exchanged deadly attacks throughout the weekend.
I want to show you the scene here in downtown Tel Aviv. That's where the Iranian missile landed. Just look at the devastation over there in the office block. But if we swing round 180 degrees, you can see these were residential apartment blocks, also devastated.
U.S. President Donald Trump's administration is considering significantly expanding its travel restrictions by potentially banning citizens of 36 additional countries from entering the U.S.
In Minnesota, the man wanted for assassinating a state lawmaker and her spouse and wounding another has been captured.
President Trump is heading north. The G7 summit kicks off in Canada on Sunday, and tariff talks are expected to dominate the discussions. The president will be meeting his counterparts from some of the world's 7 biggest economies, including Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who says the future of the tariff war will be decided at the summit.
It was on this day 1 decade ago that Donald Trump forever changed American politics. It was 10 years ago today when Donald Trump descended that golden escalator in New York and forever changed the American political landscape.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily. Today is June 16th, 2025, Anno Domini. Ladies and gentlemen, today is 10 years of MAGA. 10 years since Donald Trump came down that escalator and changed everything. Think about it. At our darkest point, when we thought America was potentially lost, the Republican Party had been relegated to a regional party after the years of Bush, after the years of McCain, the years of Romney, Paul Ryan, John Boehner. Republican Party was finished. It was done. Conservatism was all but destroyed. And our country was in the hands of the far left. BLM had just gotten started. Obama's second term was in full swing. ISIS was breaking out across the Middle East. But then a man appeared. And he came down a golden escalator. And he said, it's time to stop focusing on all of the problems of the world and start putting our own people first. He said the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were a mistake. He said that while we've spent trillions of dollars in the Middle East, we've allowed our homeland to become weak, to become threatened and invaded by migrants and illegals who should never have been here in the first place, and that he would commit to a drastic new policy of avoiding those foreign entanglements and focusing on deporting the migrants that are here. And everything that has happened over that course of 10 years, from then till now, everything that his life has gone through, the life that he left, the life that he has now, everything that's happened to his family, that's happened to his children, it's all been because of one thing. This mission, this agenda, America first. And that what he did 10 years ago today fundamentally and irrevocably changed the course of human history. It did, whether you like it or not. History is the sum total of the actions of great men, and the era of great men, of the actions of great men, and the era of great men has now returned. Jack Posobiec, Human Events Daily, huge show, a lot to go through. We'll be right back.
America.
Get ready to launch into the future of freedom at the largest student event in the nation. SAS is back. Join thousands of fellow students ready to pioneer a bold new era for America at our Student Action Summit. And we're bringing in the biggest voices in the movement, featuring Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Dr. Ben Carson, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, Brandon Tatum, James O'Keefe, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, and more. From July 11th through 13th in Tampa, Florida. Register now at SAS2025.com.
Nothing will stand in our way, and our golden age has just begun.
This is Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
Now it's time for everyone to understand what America First truly means.
Welcome to the Second American Revolution.
All right, folks, welcome back. Human Events Daily. Jack Posobiec here, Real America's Voice. Also want to bring in the Salem Radio Network, our 3 Charlie Kirk audience. Huge amount of news today. Also, we're celebrating 10 years of MAGA, but also we're focused on everything that's coming to a head in our world. And folks, I got to tell you something right now. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. So, when's the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code POSO at HomeTitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code POSO. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code POSO. All right, folks, so when we're looking at this 10 years of MAGA, America First, President Trump, when he came down that escalator 10 years ago, what did he say? He said, stop the endless wars. Stop focusing on what's going on in the Middle East. Stop being so worried about this, because we know, right? These warmongers in Washington, D.C., the military-industrial complex, the war machine, they see a map up on a screen, and yeah, we're going to show maps, and we've got plenty of maps, but they see the maps with arrows on them, and they hear the cash register ringing in the background. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Because who gets to sell the bombs? Who gets to sell the bullets? Who gets to sell the fuel for the aircraft, the air sorties, the air-to-air refueling tankers? Who gets to sell all that? Well, of course, they do, right? The defense contractors do. That's what they want. So now, we saw this as of last night, 2 aircraft carriers are being sent to the Middle East. One's already there, one's on its way. The Carl Vinson, which is already there, along with its carrier strike group. And second, the USS Nimitz, operating out of Westpac. Interestingly enough, the USS Nimitz was the aircraft carrier that participated in Operation Eagle Claw. 1979, this was the failed operation under Jimmy Carter of the Iranian Revolution, after the Iranian Revolution, to try to save our diplomats from the U.S. Embassy. That was the USS Nimitz. Now the USS Nimitz, which we're told, by the way, is on its sunset cruise. So this is the final deployment of the USS Nimitz. It's an older carrier being sent back to CENTCOM. And guess what, boys and girls? It was, where was it? In the Asia Pacific, in the Westpac. So when it was in the Western Pacific, it has now dropped coverage of the Western Pacific and is moving into CENTCOM, moving back to the Persian Gulf, or at least that area, that AOR. But what is in the Western Pacific right now, you ask? Oh, 2 Chinese aircraft carriers for the first time, the Shandong and the Liaoning. So just think about this. I want to be very clear on this. The U.S. currently has 1 aircraft carrier. All right, I'm going Navy officer here for a minute, so just bear with me. The U.S. currently has 1 aircraft carrier forward deployed at Yokosuka Naval Base just south of Tokyo. The Chinese have 2 aircraft carriers on active deployment in the Pacific. What does this mean? For the first time ever in history, all of history, the CCP has more active aircraft carriers in the Western Pacific than the United States. This has never happened before. And the only other time that an Asian power has had more aircraft carriers than the United States in the Western Pacific, I think most of you know the answer to this one, World War II, Imperial Japan. And look, should the United States be the policeman of the world? Should the United States have all these bases everywhere? I think that's a serious question, and I think that's a question that we should be willing to ask. Do these things benefit the United States? It's a serious debate. And if we're talking about America First, that's obviously something that we should all talk about. However, we don't live in isolation. Things don't happen in a vacuum. So as the U.S. is currently getting bogged into a 3rd Middle Eastern war, and we're not going to mince words around here. That's what this is. This is a war. It's a war between Israel and Iran. Okay? But the U.S. is already involved. We've been involved because we're shooting down missiles over Israel. Destroyers have been activated. Ballistic missile defense, the Aegis system, THAAD, high altitude air defense, already active. American missiles, American troops, American sailors, 5,000 sailors on each of those aircraft carriers. That brings it to 10,000. Directly within range of everything that Iran's got. And then the CCP gets a free hand. The CCP is on the rise. And guess what? You know who would love us to be bogged down in the middle of all that? China. Of course they would. Of course the CCP wants us bogged down in the Middle East, wasting money, wasting treasure, possibly even wasting blood yet again. Yet again. Like we have been for the last 30 years. And what President Trump, back when he was Donald Trump, Mr. Trump, candidate Trump, came down that escalator to warn us about 10 years ago today. You don't get anything from this. You empower our adversaries by doing this. And by the way, and General Flynn made this point earlier today, but if Iran goes so far as to blockade the Persian Gulf, so the mouth of the Persian Gulf, which is the Strait of Hormuz, so if they blockade, which they can very easily, they're already blocking, there's some reports that GPS jamming is already affecting the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz, which is the mouth of the Persian Gulf. 20% of the world's oil travels through there on a daily basis. Who does that help? That helps China because they're building the Belt and Road Initiative. They want global shipping to be shut down. Why? Because that drives you right into the hands of the CCP. All those pipelines and all that railroad and everything they're building up through Pakistan and up through Xinjiang and up through past the Uyghurs. And that's why they had to suppress the Uyghurs. Why? Because they're building roads. They're building pipelines. It's all pipelines. How many times do I have to say that around here? Cherchez le pétrole. Look for the oil. So you got oil wars, you got drone wars, and you got all the rest of it. These are not our wars. This is not our fight. No more Americans need to die for this. That's what President Trump ran on 10 years ago today. And that's what we're focused on right here on Human Events Daily. Be right back.
Today, they talk about influencers. These are influencers, and they're friends of mine. Jack Posobiec. Where's Jack? Jack, he's done a great job.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice News headlines. A manhunt is over in Minnesota for 57-year-old Vance Bolter. Bolter is accused of fatally shooting Democratic lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband and injuring a second lawmaker, John Hoffman, and his wife in separate politically motivated shootings. Authorities say he was found after a 2-day manhunt. Bolter allegedly posed as a police officer and drove a Ford SUV with police lights to the lawmaker's residence. Multiple guns, such as at least 3 AK-47s and a 9mm handgun, were also reportedly found at one of the crime scenes. Meanwhile, today marks day 4 of airstrikes between Israel and Iran. The latest this morning, Iran fired a new wave of missile attacks, killing at least 8 people. Meanwhile, Israel is claiming that they now have aerial superiority over Tehran and can fly over the Iranian capital without facing any major threats. There were reports of explosions throughout the weekend in Tehran as the Israeli military warns Iran to evacuate arms factories. This all comes as talks with the U.S. about Iran's nuclear program were called off following Israel's attack on nuclear facilities in the Iranian capital. And also, leaders of some of the world's biggest economic powers are meeting right now in the Canadian Rockies for the G7 summit this week. The leaders from the United States, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom comprise the Group of 7, which will be overshadowed by the escalation between Israel and Iran, as well as Donald Trump's tariffs and continued conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Topics will likely include Israel and Iran, trade and tariffs, climate change, and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Leaders who are not part of the G7 but have been invited to the summit by Prime Minister Carney include the heads of state of India, Ukraine, Brazil, South Africa, South Korea, Australia, Mexico, and the UAE. Meanwhile, President Trump said that the United States is not involved in the current Israel-Iran military strikes. Those are your headlines. Let's head back now to Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
Human Events Daily, today's edition. Folks, I got to tell you, think about it. Every dollar you spend is either supporting your values or working against them. And in today's economy, where you spend your money matters. It really does. And that's how we take back our country. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Switch today without sacrificing quality or service. You'll get exceptional nationwide coverage because unlike most budget wireless providers, Patriot Mobile has access to all 3 major U.S. networks. You can even add 2 numbers on 2 networks on one phone, something the big guys can't even do. Stay connected with flexible, unlimited data plans. This is going to fit your lifestyle. These plans, they offer high-speed data, mobile hotspots, international roaming, device protection. They even have internet backup. The best part, here's the best part. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you support faith, family, freedom. Do you believe in our First Amendment and our Second Amendment, the rights there, the sanctity of life, the support for our veterans? This is where you belong, right here. Switching is simple. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based team will get you activated in minutes. So right now, go to patriotmobile.com/POSO or call 972-PATRIOT to get a free month of service with promo code POSO. Make the switch. Defend freedom with every call and text. That's patriotmobile.com/POSO or call 972-PATRIOT. So, folks, I've been looking at the news all weekend. We were at the incredible, by the way, military parade, the U.S. Army parade for their birthday on Saturday. Huge thanks to the administration for getting us right up front with my boys, with my wife, my father, and photos that, and the videos that went absolutely viral. Incredible weekend. And we were able to bring the cover, so the dress cover of my grandfather's U.S. Army uniform and the hat that he wore in World War II. So in a sense, you had 4 generations of Posos in one photo. So we have my grandfather's hat, my father, me, and then my boys. So 4 generations, one picture. What do I mean by it? Why does that matter? Who cares, right? Is that big of a deal? Well, here's why it matters. Because for so long, people want you to believe that America is some sort of international hub and economic zone. The U.S. military, what does it exist for? Well, it exists to uphold international values and the rules-based order. That's what the neocons and the neoliberals would have you believe. Well, here's what I say it means, all right? I say it means that the American people are a specific and unique set of people in the world. We've been here for hundreds of years as Americans. My family has been here for over 100 years. Other families have been here much, much longer. And every family that's been involved in one of these things has an heirloom like that from World War II, maybe World War I, maybe the Civil War, maybe even the Revolutionary War. God bless them. I grew up right outside Valley Forge. I got married in Valley Forge. I got engaged in Valley Forge. My parents met and got married in Valley Forge. That means something to me. And that means something to the people who sacrificed everything in those years to build this country and found it. And it wasn't done for the idea that we would go around and be this global empire focused on the world peace of nations and far-off conflicts. No. For ourselves and our posterity. That's what the U.S. Constitution says. For ourselves and for our posterity. That means for us, for our people, that we should focus on our people first, that we should put our people first. The world's a messed up place. It always will be. And it always has been. The goal isn't to sit there, and this go back to J.D. Vance talked about this. I talk about this on X all the time. The order of loves, the ordo amoris. So I was on this debate, Piers Morgan, it's going to come out later. And they said, well, so you don't want to bomb Iran. Does that mean you're totally fine with them getting a nuclear weapon? That's what some journalist was trying to say to me. And I said, wait a minute. You're trying to Kafka trap me right now. I never said that I want something. What I said is the United States should focus on our own number one interests first. Our people, our way of life, what we want, things that are direct threats to us. And if we're going to get involved in another war, if we're going to get involved in the sandbox, the sand trap, all right? I don't want to get involved in another sand trap. I don't want to have to send my sons over to another sand trap where they can die for something that doesn't directly affect us and our family and our neighborhood. That's what I put first. Okay, buddy? Think about that. So if you're going to think about that, maybe you can, if you're able to hold this all together, because these people don't know how to think. But I'll tell you how to think. I think it's called America First. I'll be right back.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice News headlines. President Trump said that the United States is not involved in the current Israel-Iran military strikes, but he says it is possible that the U.S. would get involved. On Sunday, Trump took to Truth Social to say, quote, Iran and Israel should make a deal and will make a deal, just like I got India and Pakistan to make. We will have peace soon between Israel and Iran. Many calls and meetings now taking place, end quote. This post comes as Israel and Iran trade counterattacks after Israel successfully decimated some of Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities. Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom said in a recent interview he is now a changed man. In an interview with The Atlantic, Newsom said that the last 7 days have changed how he thinks. From the anti-ICE protest to California Senator Alex Padilla getting removed from a Christie Noem press conference to even President Trump saying Newsom should be arrested. And Newsom said in some ways he felt, quote, liberated after having his arrest called for. Newsom did also tell The Atlantic that the protest against deportations need to be peaceful and the people who wanted to sow chaos are no different than MAGA and Trump supporters. Newsom has also come under fire from the left for doing interviews with hosts like Rav's Charlie Kirk. He stated to Kirk that he was against trans athletes competing in women's sports, but has been silent when trans athlete A.B. Hernandez won a recent California state track competition. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump on Sunday said ICE must expand efforts to detain and deport illegal immigrants in America's largest cities, including Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. Trump added on Truth Social that, quote, our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation operation of illegal aliens in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered by notice of this truth to do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. Meanwhile, on Sunday evening, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that after Donald Trump basically tore up the fake agreement with Iran, he became enemy number one. Those are your headlines. Now back to human events.
And Jack, where's Jack? Where's Jack? Where is he? Jack, I want to see you. Great job, Jack. Thank you. What a job you do. You know, we have an incredible thing. We're always talking about the fake news and the bad, but we have guys, and these are the guys who should be getting Pulitzers.
All right, folks, we're back. Jack Posobiec. We got two Posos for the price of one over here, folks, on Real America's Voice and the Salem Radio Network, because I have joining me in studio our field correspondent, Kevin Posobiec, who also joins us now. What's up, Kev?
That's international field correspondent.
Oh, we promoting ourselves now? International field correspondent?
That's right. Hey, listen, I've been around through Eastern and Western Europe. It was a great trip. But, yeah, I'd have to agree with you. We're focusing on America First today and, doing some diplomatic things over there. But
and President Trump is overseas right now as well. He's not overseas in a sense. He's in Canada, right? So he's not technically overseas because there's not a sea between us. But he's in a foreign country.
There should be a wall.
There should be a wall, yes. But let's talk about that for a second, because I think this makes sense, because people get on me all the time. They say, "Wait a minute, Poso, you're going to Hungary, you're going to Poland. You were covering the protests in Ireland that kicked off. So if you keep saying MAGA, if you keep saying America First, then why does it matter when you go to these other countries?" And my response has always been, because this is a fight against globalism. Okay, and the problem is that all of these countries are fighting globalism as well, and so it's an irony in a sense, where in order to fight globalism, you need an international alliance of anti-globalists. So in Ireland, they're anti-globalism. In Poland, they're anti-globalism. In Hungary, they're anti-globalism. And so by working together, we can help to fight the same people, because, look, here's what it comes down to. I want Hungary to put Hungary first. I want Ireland to put the Irish people first. I want Poland to put the Polish people first. And I want America to put the American people first. And that's what it's all about. And so people talk about Israel, say Israel, they're going to be Israel first. They say, okay, they're Israel first, but that's their fight. Okay, that's their fight. That's not our fight. That fight's there. Our fight is here. Our fight is the illegal aliens. Our fight is the migrant crisis, the invasion. Our fight is the cartels that are right on our border. We did a whole episode on that last week. That's what our fight is. So, Kev, walk me through some of this stuff, this idea that, 10 years ago, it's Trump came down the escalator and he specifically said, and I went back and watched the video and I posted it on Twitter this morning, that we need to stop getting involved in these Middle East wars, and we need to focus on getting rid of the illegals. And here we are exactly 10 years to the day, and we're having the same argument, aren't we?
We sure are. And credit to Ireland as well. They're not only protesting illegals, but legal immigrants, too. They're just saying, listen, we're past capacity. We can't take it anymore. They have a population of 4 million. Poland's about 37 million. And, their problem is a little more highlighted than ours, in a sense. I don't know. It could be ratioed the same way. We have 350 million.
That's America? Right. And Ireland has typically has a policy of neutrality. So they were neutral in World War II. They weren't involved in World War I. But here we are in the United States. And originally, if you remember, all last week, Israel was saying, oh, we don't need America to get involved. We don't need this. Don't worry about it. We got this. We got ourselves. And yet this whole weekend, though, suddenly it's that, oh, America has to get involved. America has to get involved. This is our final chance to strike down the Iranian regime. This is going to be good for everybody. It's going to be great. Didn't they always say that? Didn't we hear that about Iraq? Didn't we hear that about Afghanistan? Oh, it's going to go so well. It's going to go so well. We just need a little bit of help, but it's going to go great. So, Kevin, isn't this where those kind of fault lines get a little messy, where people try to claim that the America first thing to do is to go wage war on some country in the Middle East?
It's ludicrous to see. And I appreciate what Tucker was saying on War Room today about this. And over the weekend, we had the Army's 250th. And if we're going to go back to 1776, well, what did George Washington himself say? He said he wanted America to remain an isolationist country and to stay out of everything.
Foreign entanglements.
Foreign entanglements. That's right. So, hey, we had a George Washington on horseback going down, what was it, Constitution Ave there?
Constitution Ave, yeah.
So are we going that way or what? I'm ready. So I still believe.
Let's just. Can I piggyback on that for real quick?
Sure.
Because Washington, people will say, oh, well, that was different time. I said, well, hold on a second. America, Washington wasn't an idiot. Washington understood exactly what's going on. First of all, he fought and won a war against the biggest global empire of the time, the globalist system of the time, if you will, the British Empire. They were the global empire. But America, founded as a republic, a nation state, was founded at a time when we were surrounded by empires, right? So think of it. On the U.S. continent, in 1776, you had the British Empire, so they were still up north in Canada. You had the Spanish Empire; they were down in south in Florida. They were in control, by the way, of Mexico and California. Sorry, Gavin Newsom. Actually, it was the Spanish who founded Los Angeles, not the Mexicans. So just want to be real clear about that. That's why it's called. Kevin, remind me again, what language is the words Los Angeles from?
Los Angeles, that sounds Latin to me.
So that's a European language. Just want to be clear. That's a European. And what about like Las Vegas and San Diego and San Juan and San Francisco and literally all the other ones? Also European. Just checking on that. Santa Fe, the rest, you just go down the list. You literally go down the list.
Yeah.
By the way, I think, just on that note, Kev, wouldn't it be cool if we actually translated all the names of those cities into English so people understood that they're all based on Catholic saints?
That's right. And the Christian missionaries, Juan Diego, for instance.
Saint Diego.
He's got a statue in the Capitol now.
No more San Diego. Saint Diego. San Francisco. Saint Francis. Los Angeles, City of the Angels, right? Everybody kind of knows that one, but I believe it's Our Lady of the City of Angels. So it's actually,
right? Okay.
Yeah, it's the full name. So it's actually based on Mother Mary. San Jose, St. Joseph. We have a city dedicated to St. Joseph in the United States. Yeah, that one's in English for whatever reason. We don't do Sante Agostino, but that one's St. Augustine. So they're actually, and by the way, Louisville, right? We've got Louisville, St. Louis, and Louisiana, all based on, again, St. Louis from France. So we have all of these names in the United States that are based off of Catholic saints, and yet we don't do it. Sorry, I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but it's like, I just feel like we'd have a little bit more respect for that if we actually use the English name. So let's keep going down the list.
Or for instance, like even when we came, it was New York or New Hampshire. So there's some of the names were from the old world, but it was new.
Yeah,
establishing the difference.
All of them.
Yep.
All of them. Philadelphia, right? Alexandria. So these were all based on ancient names from the ancient world, but it was meant to be an extension of that world, the Christian world, Christendom, into the New World. But going through just based on the empire levels. So we hit what? We hit the British Empire, the French Empire, of course, had Louisiana Purchase. Just mentioned that. The Spanish Empire. Here's one that everybody forgets. You ready for this? Who owned Alaska?
That was Russia, wasn't it?
The Russian Empire. So the Russian Empire was here on this continent as well. So do you mean to tell me for a second that George Washington was just stupid when he was talking about this, that he didn't understand how complicated the world could be? The Ottoman Empire was still in full swing. So the U.S., one of the first wars that the United States fought was against the Ottomans because of the Barbary pirates, and they were pressing our American sailors and merchants in the Mediterranean into their service under the Ottoman Empire and the Berbers in North Africa. So, yeah, George Washington knew exactly what he was talking about. Our ancestors actually were very smart, as it turns out. And they said, you know what? The United States as a country doesn't need to worry about all of this. And you know why? Because we have these two amazing, now at the time we didn't have two, we had one, but we had this ocean that separated us from the rest of the world. And that's why they call it the old world and the old world entanglements. He said the United States doesn't need to get involved in all of this. We can chart our own course through history. Pretty cool, right?
That's amazing. I mean, yeah. So also with Iran, Israel, I mean, we had the opportunity to go.
Oh, wait. Persia. The Persians were there. George Washington knew about the Persians, right? Yeah. Like, come on. You're going to tell me something he didn't know about? Of course he knew about the Persians. In Israel, of course he knew about Israel. He's Christian.
Yeah, he was Christian. And, yeah, you were going on about Valley Forge there. But, yeah, I mean, we got to visit Jerusalem and whatnot. I mean, we'd love to.
We climbed Masada right here on this very program, three years ago now.
And I may or may not have some things, souvenirs with me.
We don't need to get all that. We don't need all that.
But yeah, these holy sites need to be protected. I think. And
Kevin got a tattoo in Jerusalem. Just saying it.
It's a pilgrimage. It's a pilgrimage site.
Check out his Instagram
for Christians, and it's been foretold that the end times would happen in this area. So
Megiddo.
Yeah, Megiddo, Armageddon.
Armageddon.
I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens. But.
Right, and so this what you're talking about though is this idea of, do we care about the Holy Land? Do we care about Israel? Do we care about the holy sites? Of course we do. Of course we do. Very much so. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we think that every single move in terms of war and peace is something that we have to outsource to people that either aren't part of the United States government, aren't part of our chain of command, aren't people that we directly have involvement with, at least in terms of elected representativeness. We don't have any of that. We don't have any of that. And so.
That's right. And Iran, too. Iran has beautiful architecture and other cool stuff, to be fair.
Oh, Persia is one of the most ancient cultures on the planet.
We have Jerusalem.
Right. And so what I would say, and this is what I say to everyone, and I always want to hear this from Pope Francis, and he said, we pray for all countries, we pray for all borders. Yeah, pray for all borders to become Christian, right? Right, we pray for the Middle East to become Christian and accept Christ. We pray for everyone in the Middle East to become Christian and accept Christ. That's our role as Christians. But that doesn't mean I want the U.S. government you know what I mean, going over and
being such a holy site. I would like to see what Pope Leo XIV has to say to intervene here to help promulgate these peace negotiations as well.
Well, I would love to see him say that as well. We're going to take a quick break here. You got Jack Posobiec, Kevin Posobiec. We're discussing it all, folks. We're discussing it all. We'll be right back. Human Events Daily continues.
What we are doing every single day is we are dedicating ourselves and our staff and our students and our activists for a full revival of America.
Get ready to launch into the future of freedom at the largest student event in the nation. SAS is back. Join thousands of fellow students ready to pioneer a bold new era for America at our Student Action Summit. And we're bringing in the biggest voices in the movement, featuring Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Dr. Ben Carson, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, Brandon Tatum, James O'Keefe, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, and more. From July 11th through 13th in Tampa, Florida. Register now at SAS2025.com.
All right, folks, we're back. Jack Posobiec here, Kevin Posobiec on as well. Human Events Daily. We're talking about a lot of these issues that are facing all of us. War and Peace, America First, MAGA, the 10th anniversary. Wait, Kev, let me, because I talked about it, but you didn't talk about this. 10 years ago today, Donald Trump comes down the escalator. What did you think? Did you think he was serious? Did you buy it? Were you on board yet?
I actually have a little anecdote about this. Yeah, so I was living just outside of Philadelphia, and I remember that day.
Okay.
So let me paint the picture for you. I was in this second floor of this apartment, and it was a bunch of hipsters, and I was still working in the furniture, making business, and I was getting this piece of mahogany coming that I was going to carve and all this, and so I was in a slightly different scene. But on that day,
bunch of libs. You can just say it, Kev. You're around a bunch of libs. You can just say it. All right.
Some girl we were hanging with, she rushes over with her phone and she says, "Look at this! Donald Trump says he's going to run for president." And he messed up and he said he's going to try and kick out all the illegals because they're all migrants and rapists and criminals.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? And I said, "Oh well, what party's he running for?" Because I didn't really know. I hadn't really paid too much attention to Donald Trump at the time. But lo and behold, I kept watching. I was like, hey, this guy, this is exciting, But I just, I do remember vividly like that day 10 years ago when he came down.
What'd you say to her? What'd you say?
I said, hey, it sounds great.
Yes. Based.
Well,
Base Department.
I mean, my stance on illegal immigration. It's probably the number one priority.
Tell the folks, Kevin, tell your stance. Get it out there.
Well, it's also holds a special place because of what we've seen like growing up, and especially like the car accident that we were involved in. Our father and me.
Kev, no one has any idea what you're talking about. Tell them what you're talking about.
Okay, so we used to have a family horse farm.
3 minutes.
Growing up back in the day.
It wasn't ours. It was our aunt and uncle's.
And yeah, so one day we were coming down the road to go visit our cousins, hang out on the farm.
It's like 2002.
Yeah, everything, everybody, all the trad wives and stuff want today. It's like we had. And so me and my dad are driving down. We get T-boned at the bottom of this hill thing. Like it's right where the entrance is. We get T-boned.
So you were in a T-bone accident. You and Dad. You were in the passenger seat. Dad was in the driver's seat.
Illegal immigrant driver. Almost paralyzed my dad.
He still can't hear. He still can't hear out of one ear.
Immediately said he had back pain. He didn't want to unbuckle his seatbelt because he didn't know if anything was wrong. So
Dad.
Yeah. Dad. And I jump out of the car and I look over and this, I don't know if he was Mexican, Guatemalan or what. He starts waving his hand. He's like, oh my gosh, is everyone okay? Like, please don't call the cops. Please don't call the cops. I don't have any papers.
Mm-hmm.
So I just.
It is right outside Philadelphia. This is anywhere near the southern border.
So I run over, get Mom. I call the cops, this and that. And
you called me at work. I was still at work at Corporalese. I thought you were messing with me. I thought
I was messing with her.
I thought you were screwing around. I thought you were like, I was like, very funny, Kev, and like whatever. Like I'll see you guys later or something. And no, you're dead serious. And I remember going to the hospital, going to the ER, seeing Dad on the,
that's what needs to be talked about more. These people getting in car accidents, not having insurance. These people coming to hospitals, overwhelming the hospitals, the healthcare. They're illegals. They shouldn't be here. It's against the law. But how do they get preferential treatment? How do they get, arrested and then released right away in these sanctuary cities? I'm done with it. I've been done with it for over a decade, and I wrote about it. I remember writing essays about this in 8th grade. So that will continue to be my most paramount issue.
They could have killed our dad.
Could have killed our dad.
Could have killed you too. Yep. And that's it. The people, and let me tell you something. You want to talk about rate of crime? I'll tell you something. We could prevent the rate of 100% of illegal alien crime by getting them all out. Every single one. And that's why we back President Trump. You saw that thing you put up on Truth last night. So he posted it.
Mass deportations.
And every big city. Look, folks, the world's a messed up place. But you know what else is messed up? The United States. Let's put America first. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have our permission.
our staff and our students and our activists for a full revival of America.
Get ready to launch into the future of freedom at the largest student event in the nation. SAS is back. Join thousands of fellow students ready to pioneer a bold new era for America at our Student Action Summit. And we're bringing in the biggest voices in the movement, featuring Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Dr. Ben Carson, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, Brandon Tatum, James O'Keefe, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, and more. From July 11th through 13th in Tampa, Florida. Register now at SAS2025.com.
All right, folks, we're back.